Hello everyone, this is Nudge. As you may have noticed, I'm recording in the afternoon, not in the evening, but I might as well do it anyway, because I don't really have anything to do, so I'm just gonna try and compile this, and hopefully make it work. A few days ago, I randomly recorded some Rhythm Heaven sound effects that are not from the games, that are not in the Rhythm Heaven remix editor package thing. And I'm also going to try and record even more stuff later on, but I'm taking a break from that right now. You'll see why on the weekend if I upload this successfully. Anyway, I've decided to try and compile a few of these together and compare what I've recorded from Rhythm Tengoku and Rhythm Heaven Fever, because why not? As you may already know, I would have wanted to try doing Rhythm Heaven DS, but my emulation is really slow and it doesn't work, so yeah, I'm gonna have to wait for that. And I'm not stealing anyone's recordings, as you'll see a few minutes later, but let's just get on with it and not talk about that yet. Before I go on, actually, I also wanted to say that I am making these recordings available for anyone who wants them. They're going to be all in MP3, except for the tutorial music stuff, which is going to be in OGG, so that you can loop them correctly. Yes, I'm doing tutorial music for some levels, because why not? I am not done with it, as I said before. I'm still doing this stuff. So when it is done, if you ask for it in the comments, I'll give you Dropbox link and have fun. So yeah, let's just get on with this and actually talk about some differences and stuff I could record. The first thing that you usually hear when you enter a Rhythm Heaven game is the title screen. This usually has some music, except if you press A or start really quickly in Rhythm Tengoku, you don't hear anything, you just hear this, which in Rhythm Heaven Fever, I really couldn't get without music, so just listen to this. So yeah, that is what I got from there. And now, it's time to get onto the menus. Or maybe not. For those of you who watched my Rhythm Tengoku Finale Part 2, you may have heard about the arcade version that was released about a year after the GBA version was. It was a little different, I guess. It had updated sounds, it had a lot of cool things. Amongst them are things that you're hearing right now, which is basically just a sped-up version of Rhythm Tweezers. Basically the first row of games have this new music with them, and it sounds pretty cool, to say the least. So, as you may have heard in there, I tried to get it to work, and I actually tried to get it to work afterwards as well. I got it to run, but I didn't get it to play very well. So, I'm just stealing some recording from someone else on YouTube, so I hope that's not a copyrighted thing. Anyway, let's actually get on to some menu sounds, finally. So, in Rhythm Tengoku, you have two different menus. The one that you hear in the main menu is supposed to sound like this. I'm stealing this from the Rhythm Heaven DS library I have. And of course, you have the other one, which in Rhythm Tengoku sounds like this. And in Rhythm Heaven Fever, it got changed to this. You may notice that the Rhythm Tengoku one has a little bit of an echo to it. I'll try to amplify it like this. And then we have the menu select noises. We have the shorter one in Rhythm Tengoku and in Fever. At least that's what I think it is. I mean, it sounds the same. And the longer one, which I could only get by having a little fun with stereo, in Rhythm Tengoku and Fever. Also, in Rhythm Tengoku Arcade, it sounded like this. Oh, and before I forget, Rhythm Tengoku Arcade, instead of the chime in title screen, it does this. Oh yeah! So yeah, that's a thing, I guess. Now it's time to look at the exclusive sounds for all the menus, because there are a few that I just couldn't get from one or the other. In Rhythm Tengoku, we had the cancel sound, and in Rhythm Heaven Fever, we have the sound that you hear when you go through an edge. I'm not sure if you can describe that better. And then we have scroll pages, right? and left. These I can record from the cafe. That's about it, for the menu sounds at least. Except for this one, which is the item unavailable sound in Tengoku and in Fever. Also, there's also this one, which is basically the same except with a little bit of a sigh at the end of it. Let's talk about the pause menu next, because we can never have enough with menu sounds, can we? So the pause menu has a little bit of a different sound depending on which version you look at. When you enter it in Tengoku and in Fever, you only hear this in Tengoku when you press right or left. When you go back into the game in Tengoku and Fever, and when you quit out of the game in Tengoku and in Fever. Before I forget about the general sounds that you hear the whole time, there's something I left out from the menus because it's not really a menu thing in Tengoku. When you press select out of a rhythm toy, I think, and when you get out of certain menus in Fever, you hear this in Tengoku and in Fever. And then finally, when you scroll through text, in Tengoku it was just one sound, like this, and in Fever it was two sounds when you held the button down and when you released it. A common example would be up-down. Okay, now let's actually get on to games themselves. I'm not going to cover any specific games, I'm just going to cover what happens when you end them. So first of all, whenever you end a game in Rhythm Tengoku you hear this. In arcade it kind of changed like this. And in Fever, it's a little more square wavy, like this. And then depending on what rating you get a different sound. For failing, in Rhythm Tengoku, and in Fever, which in this case is like an almost okay situation. Yeah, you heard that little weird thing at the end of it. With an okay, Tengoku, Tengoku Arcade, Fever, and a superb Tengoku. Kinda got cut off there. Arcade, and Fever. And then when you look through the results and get your things, for fail and okay in Tengoku, and in arcade, for fail in Fever, okay in Fever, and superb in Fever. And no, I'm not leaving out superb in Tengoku or superb in arcade. And then when you press A out of that in Tengoku, in arcade, which surprised me honestly, I mean it's the perfect sound, which is really weird, and in Fever. This is a combination of two sounds again, when you hold the button down and when you release it. This is also used in Rhythm Heaven DS for certain things, and also when you press A while talking to the person at the cafe, you hear the same sound. This is probably the other thing that I can actually show, because there's a lot more in the stuff that I recorded, but I really don't want to show all of that because it's just stupid. So I only recorded this in Tengoku, but I also have one in Fever, I just didn't trim it yet. It's this thing. Yeah, it's the sound that you hear when you lose an endless game. So yeah, that's the thing. Speaking of that, I'm not sure if I'm ever gonna make a video about this, but I did tease it for a while. I want to find all the instances of uses of square waves. Oh, I completely forgot about square waves. Yes, this sound. I can only record this in Tengoku, of course, because it uses the square waves, and if I mute the direct sound, I can get them clearly. Basically, when you end a game, your flow's being updated. This happens in all four wait a minute, it doesn't happen in Megamix, does it? Anyway, it happens in the first three. So yeah, you have that. And there's a few other square wave stuff, but I'm not going to cover any of that. I think I'm done. I don't really have anything else to say. I might as well just upload this as it is, because it's the most complete I can get. As I already said, I'm going to be recording a few more things. Not sure when I'm going to be done with the whole thing, but I'm just going to start recording stuff from games that may not be obvious. So yeah, I hope you've enjoyed this video. I hope you found it a little fun, a little informative. If you have any questions, of course, just leave them in the comments, and I'll be glad to read them and answer them. And thanks for watching, and goodbye for now.
Congratulations!